The interesting thing about it is, these studies are peer-reviewed by 7 world experts, and you think of everybody drinking, diet drinks and whatnot with this cancer-causing product in it, and it's not been on in any of the TV stations, the newspapers. It's almost just absolutely wiped out. And, I can't imagine these government agencies like EFSA or the FDA trying to rebut now a third one, especially when it was known. But I think people should know about that. And the other thing is that the other day when I was on a radio program, Dr. Deagle said something that is startling, and I asked him to write it out because I think people should hear it. I'm so concerned about the babies. And this is what he said. He said the European Environmental Association has projected that with the rise of autism caused by toxic foods like aspartame, MSG, fluoride, and environmental degradation, by 2013, that's 2 years away, no one will be born in the Western world that does not, to some degree, have autism.
Jeez. Aspartame discovered in 1965 by a chemist working at Searle, as we all know, and he accidentally discovered its sweet taste when he licked his finger after trying to develop some anti-ulcer drug, right?
Right, and incidentally, I've taken this long history. It sounds like something out of the Twilight Zone, and put it on the Aspartame resource guide that has movies and detox and books and anything anybody wants that they can email me for at BettyM19@manspring.com. But I will tell you very quickly that it is absolutely incredible. Because first the FDA tried to indict them for fraud because they couldn't take this poisonous product and get it to show safety. And then when the defense team hired both U.S. prosecutors, then the statute of limitations expired. So the FDA revoked the petition for approval. And on our website, mpwhi.com, you can actually read the FDA's 50-page report on why they revoked the petition for approval. And then, as soon as that was done, Searle filed suit to stop FDA Commissioner Jerry Goyen from signing this into law. And Rumsfeld was CEO of Searle, and Reagan owed him a favor because he was supposed to nominate him for vice president. Instead, he got Bush. So he owed him a favor, and he was on his transition team. And the day that Reagan
took office,
yes, what he did is he had the transition team call Dr. Jerry Goyen at 3 in the morning. And the reason that I know this is I talked to his wife who was there, and fire him. And then he wrote an executive order making the FDA powerless to do anything about aspartame until he could get Arthur Hull Hayes there as FDA commissioner to overrule that board of inquiry.
Yeah, he was the deciding vote, wasn't he?
Right. He was the commissioner, so he simply overruled it, and he knew it would take 30 days to get him there. And then everything changed at the FDA. There was a Philadelphia newspaper that talked about the new FDA when Hayes got there, and drugs that they wouldn't have immediately approved that were dangerous were approved. So everything happened at that time, and it was an immediate thing as soon as it got on the market. And actually, they were marketing it before then anyway. And the reason I know that is the man lives across the street, built the factory down there.
Well, they've made a lot with it, Betty. We've got a few minutes to go. We'll take some calls here west of the Rockies. Bradley, truck driving in San Antonio, Texas. Hi, Bradley.
Hi, George. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to comment about, I heard this gal on your show last time, and ever since I was listening to the show, I've stopped using all the products. I used Sweet and Low for years, and then went over to Splenda, and what was it was doing to me is I had such a temper, and it made my temper even worse. And ever since I stopped using that, I've actually almost lost the verge of losing my cool, and I'm much more mellow about everything in life, and it's actually changed my life, and I'm glad I've been listening to your show.
Great.
Well, actually, if you were using aspartame, there's a whole good reason for it. It's the phenylalanine that depletes serotonin, causing psychiatric and behavioral problems and interacting with all antidepressants. And it causes suicidal tendencies, manic depression, paranoia, insomnia, all those things.
What do you mean by that? That's what it does. But that's how people act. I'm concerned about children who are taking this stuff, drinking all kinds of soda.
Well, actually, there was a doctor down in the Dominican Republic, Dr. Barrett, that called me that changed 360 children's diet from milk to aspartame juice, and he got concerned because when he called me, he said, look, it's been 10%, 20%, 30%, but when almost all of them immediately reacted, became hyperactive, and had behavioral problems and became confused and were losing their memory. And I said, well, for goodness sakes, doctor, get them off of it right away. And he called me a few days later and said they all reverted back to normal. So they normally wouldn't do a study on small children on this poison, but they did it by accident, and that shows you what it does. Next
up, we go to Wade in Ripon, California, on the wildcard line. Go ahead, Wade.
Hi there.
Hi.
How are you this evening?
We are well, thanks.
So am I. Thank you. My mother had diabetes, and she was taking or drinking aspartame soda, and I was wondering if that would make it worse.
Oh, absolutely. You missed part of it, but what it does is it actually precipitates diabetes, and it simulates and aggravates diabetic retinopathy and neuropathy. It causes diabetics to go into convulsions. It destroys the optic nerve and the free methyl alcohol that converts to formaldehyde. It causes the interaction with insulin, and the free methyl alcohol causes them to lose their limbs. And that's why we have a diabetic epidemic right now, is because of aspartame. It's killing diabetics.
All right, there you go. Thanks. We'll go to Cindy now in New York, New York. Go ahead, Cindy. Thanks for calling.
Hi, yeah, thank you two, for presenting this again. I have a friend who consumes aspartame and recently had a cataract surgery, and it didn't turn out the way the doctor had hoped, and he just keeps saying, gee, I don't know, this isn't healing right, and her vision is worse than it was, and no one's I don't know if this sort of inability for surgery in the eye to heal would be related to her aspartame consumption, the fact that it's not healing properly. And I was wondering what comments you have about that, possibly.
Well, if you will email me, I put all the eye reports on one sheet of paper, and you can click them on and print them out and give them to the doctor, and then he will understand what he's dealing with. It's also in the medical text, aspartame disease and ignored epidemic. So I know that for instance, the reason diabetics lose their limbs is that when they've got this free methyl alcohol, they cannot heal. And like in the case of Lane Shore's wife, Mission Possible Chicago, a doctor said, oops, I found out about aspartame, get off of it, we can save your foot. She says, I'm too addicted, chop it off, and he did. Now she's lost her legs because she can't heal. But as far as the eyes are concerned, there's an entire chapter on it. It does cause many eye problems, and, I don't know what aspartame's done to the rest of her body, and the doctor probably needs the medical text, which is on our aspartame resource guide. But if you just email me and say, send me all the information on the eye, I'll send it to you, and the doctor will understand.
Okay, Betty, thanks for that. Let's go next to Randy, truck driving in Iowa, east of the Rockies. Hi, Randy.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay.
Well, I got a question. I got a father-in-law laying in a well-known hospital in Minnesota here. He's probably not going to make it. Today we talked 2 days. His liver has been affected all this time. It's been going on for about 4 or 5 months. He's about 74, retired farmer. But the clinic or the hospital he's at, nobody has a definite answer. They're just kind of fishing about what could have caused all this. I mean, he's just gone downhill. Like, just in the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's just, just keeps getting worse and worse, and nobody has an answer. Is this substance you're talking, is this a diabetic substitute for sugar, or how does it work? Or are we all getting it?
It's a killer for diabetics, but it is pushed on diabetics, and it causes the liver enzymes many times to be very high. And a recent study showed liver cancer. And if the doctor doesn't know, you ought to email me for the resource guide, and the doctors need to get the medical texts. One from Dr. Roberts, one from Russell Blaylock, the neurosurgeon. Roberts is a diabetic, and it will have everything in it, and they will understand. They're lied to by the professional organizations. I call them ladies of the evening. And then you've got the front groups, the FDA, and doctors have no idea that they're not dealing with an additive. They're dealing with an addictive, excitoneurotoxic, carcinogenic, genetically engineered drug that interacts with the mitochondria and interacts with all the drugs that they're using. So, and vaccines, and it's an adjuvant, like squalene, and causes the same things, MS, lupus, autism, ALS, all these different things. So there is so much information today that doctors, the world experts, have written all these reports we have on the website that goes just about everything in the medical text go into it, so that it's worth it to get one and take it to the doctor and say, look, this is what he's using, and they can go chapter to chapter on every disease or every symptom. It'll give you the mechanism by which it causes it and what to do and how it's done.
Have they banned aspartame in any of the European countries, Betty?
Romania. And that was because of the cancer in the early 90s. And we've been trying to get it banned, as you know, in the UK, and we tried in New Mexico twice. We tried in Hawaii twice. And, you're dealing with all these lobbyists and high-paid attorneys that come in there in the front groups and lie. And when I addressed the Senate in New Mexico, most of them were sitting there drinking a Diet Coke, and they were addicted to it. And Dr. Stoller addressed them as well, and he said, look, I don't think we're going to get very far. And he says, but have mercy on the children. So, they're given many times free to the government, and these people get addicted, and it is very difficult.
A lot of people, Betty, just don't understand the dangers of this stuff.
Oh, I know. And, after I argued with the doctor and gave him all the evidence in Australia, staying up all night with him, I made a comment to Dr. Deagle. I said, it's as if nothing matters. He says, well, Betty, it affects the frontal lobes first. It's like talking to somebody who's had a lobotomy. And that's exactly what it is. They do not care. They are so highly addicted to it. And in one case, this neurologist, Dr. Sanchez here, they got them off of it because they go through withdrawal from the addiction, had to put them in a mental hospital. But
jeez,
after a couple of days, the seizures had stopped and all the problems had disappeared. And there's even a place called Essence that actually takes aspartame addiction up in North Carolina. So, and they're aspartame detox centers. But it's a very serious thing. That's why we have an aspartame information list, so we can help people as they get off of it.